The champagne hit my face before I even heard her scream. Lori Kingsley, our HOA president, pointed at me like she was ordering an arrest. "Security, get this man out now." 2 guards rushed in, cameras lifted. Neighbors whispered, "Who is he?" as Lori accused me of crashing her gala and lurking around the property. I stayed still, watching her enjoy every second of humiliating me in front of 200 people. The countdown timer behind her flashed 2 minutes until her big announcement. I finally spoke quiet, controlled Lori. "If they remove me, your entire HOA collapses tonight." Lori didn't wait for security to touch me. She strutted down the stage, steps herself, heels clicking like warning shots. "Step back," she ordered the guards. "I'll handle him." Her smile was tight, triumphant, the kind HOA presidents get when they think the bylaws are a weapon forged just for them. Without hesitation, she snatched the event clipboard from a volunteer and shoved it into my chest. Name, address, reason for being here. Not a question, a command. When I didn't answer immediately, she leaned closer, perfume, sharp voice, even sharper. "You people always play dumb. Let me make this simple." She lifted the mic again so the entire crowd could hear her next words. "You are not a resident. You are not on the guest list, and you are absolutely not allowed inside the clubhouse during a private HOA gala." The guards straightened like she'd promoted them on the spot. Lori flicked her wrist toward my shirt. "Dressed like that, please. Contractors don't attend homeowner celebrations. They clean up after them." A few neighbors laughed soft, guilty, relieved it wasn't them. I felt heat climb my neck, anger tightening behind my ribs, but I locked it down. I'd dealt with people like her in boardrooms, airports, conferences, people who believed confidence was the same thing as correctness. Lori tapped her mic. "Our HOA prides itself on safety, and I don't allow unknown men wandering around my event." She didn't know it yet, but she'd just set fire to the foundation of her own power. And the countdown behind her hit 1 minute. The moment Lori turned away from me, she snapped at a volunteer. "Record his picture. We'll issue a notice later." Not a threat, an expectation. She strutted toward the registration table, announcing loudly, "We may have a trespasser. Everyone keep your badges visible. We can't have random slipping into a $120 a plate HOA gala." Guests adjusted their lanyards quickly, eager to appear cooperative. I stayed still, wine dripping from my collar. Lori flipped through the check-in binder theatrically. Shocking. No one here with his description. Someone near the dessert table muttered, "Maybe he followed the catering crew." Another added, "Should we check if anything's gone missing?" Phones lifted again, filming, judging, assuming. And then Lori did something small, petty, and perfectly in character. She tore off a neon orange wristband, the color assigned to vendors, and tossed it at my feet. "Pick it up," she said. "You'll need it if you plan to linger anywhere near homeowner spaces." My jaw tightened that one emotional beat, but I forced the rest down. I'd learned long ago that anger was currency best spent late. Lori smirked, believing she'd already won. Lori wasn't satisfied. Public humiliation wasn't enough. She needed documentation. She marched straight to the edge of the stage and pulled out her HOA app. Within seconds, she had a zoomed-in photo of my front door taken earlier that morning. "See this?" she said loudly to 2 board members. "Non-standard fixtures. Could be a violation." She swiped again. Another photo, my driveway. Unregistered vehicle. Suspicious activity. "I'll investigate." The board members nodded, hungry for direction. What the crowd didn't know, what Lori didn't know, was that my home office faced the street. I watched her take those pictures from my window. She'd stood on my property line like she owned it, snapping away, muttering something about keeping the neighborhood orderly. Now, she held those photos aloft, as if they were evidence of criminal activity. "You see," she announced, "this isn't the first time he's shown up places he shouldn't be." A man in a blue blazer chimed in. "That's the same truck I saw late at night last week. Didn't look like a resident." Lori nodded decisively. "We'll review his entire compliance record after tonight." I almost laughed. She had no idea how catastrophic that sentence would become for her. The moment wine hit my shirt earlier, I thought that would be the worst of it. I was wrong. "Before security removes him," Lori said, "I want to show everyone something." She tapped through a few images, then held her phone up to the crowd. On it was a photo of my back patio project, broken lumber, shattered glass from the deck lamp, mud splashed up the siding. "This," she declared, "is what happens when unapproved renovations take place. It damages property values." Neighbors murmured. Some gasped. What she conveniently left out was the part where she'd shown up during the construction, harassed the workers, and accidentally knocked a ladder sideways, sending the lamp crashing. Earlier that afternoon, I'd found fresh footprints in the mud near the broken wood. Small, sharp-heeled footprints. Tonight she used the chaos she caused as justification to punish me. Another board member whispered, "We can issue a tear-down order if this continues." Lori heard him and smiled. "That's right. If he doesn't comply, we'll fine him daily until he does." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether to applaud her confidence or back away from it. My pulse stayed steady. Every second she spoke was another bullet loaded into her own downfall. Lori raised her hand like she was signaling an airstrike. "Officer Barnes," she called. Over here, a uniformed town cop off duty hired for the event stepped forward with the HOA's private security chief. Lori pointed at me dramatically. "That man should not be on this property. He refused to identify himself and may have entered illegally. Please remove him." Barnes approached slowly, assessing me with professional caution. "Sir," he said, "do you live in this community?" Before I could speak, Lori cut in. "He's been wandering around the clubhouse for 20 minutes. No badge, no invite, no proof he belongs here." Her voice carried the confidence of someone used to being believed instantly. The officer frowned. "Do you have ID on you?" I reached for my wallet, but Lori barked, "Don't fall for that. He already lied about living here." The security chief stepped closer. "We'll need you to come with us to the office downstairs." A few guests actually applauded quiet, guilty pats that fed Lori's ego like gasoline on a flame. The influencer recording the whole thing whispered into her phone, "This is getting bad. Something's off. He's too calm." She was right. Calm wasn't surrender. Calm was calculation. Lori inhaled deeply, then delivered the blow she thought would finish me. "I'm initiating an emergency board vote," she announced. "Effective tonight, trespassers can be banned from all HOA facilities indefinitely." Her voice, amplified through the mic, echoed across the clubhouse lawn. The board members huddled, nodding quickly. Neighbors whispered, fearful and excited, fearful of scandal, excited to watch a live punishment unfold. Lori turned to the officer. "Proceed. Remove him from the premises." Barnes opened his mouth to respond, but the security chief got there first. "Sir, hands where I can see them." 2 guards moved in, reaching for my arms. I let them get close enough to feel the heat of their palms before I spoke. "No, just that." One word spoken calmly. Lori scoffed. "Oh look, now he's refusing law enforcement. Add that to the report." My phone buzzed in my hand. The screen showed a single name, Control, the HOA's management company. The ones preparing a massive redevelopment announcement tonight. The ones about to sign a long-term funding agreement worth more than Lori's entire street combined. I declined the call. Not yet. Instead, I raised my phone slightly and said loud enough for every microphone and camera to capture it, "Touch me." And this HOA loses everything in 30 seconds. The lights above us flickered again. Lori laughed, but not for long. The lights didn't just flicker this time. They died. The music cut mid-beat, the projectors froze, and the LED countdown behind Lori went completely black. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone dropped a glass. A child cried near the buffet. Lori spun toward the stage, face whitening. What happened? Get tech support now." But she wasn't looking at the wires. She was looking at me. The officer lowered his hand from his radio. The security chief stepped back, suddenly unsure. The entire HOA gala had plunged into an eerie silence, broken only by murmurs. Is this part of the presentation? Did the power fail? Why did it happen? The second he spoke, I stepped forward, not aggressively, just deliberately placing myself between the dead projector and the stunned crowd. "Officer," I said before anyone touches me, "I think the HOA deserves to know who actually financed tonight's event." Confusion swept across the lawn. Lori barked a laugh. "Financed you." She grabbed the mic again, desperation sharpening her voice. "He's trying to stall. Take him, oh." Her sentence stopped when the property manager missed her. Grayson burst out of the clubhouse, tablet in hand, panic written across his face. "Lori," he said breathlessly, "the system blackout was remotely triggered through the management portal." And she snapped. Grayson swallowed hard. "And the only account with override permissions is his." Every camera swung toward me. My voice stayed level. "Everyone stay right where you are. You're about to see what your HOA president never wanted you to know." Lori stepped back like her shoes were suddenly on fire. I climbed onto the small stage, Grayson clutching his tablet like a shield. The influencer recording this zoomed in, her audience exploding with comments. I took the mic not by force, but because Grayson offered it to me with trembling hands. "Your HOA," I said clearly, "isn't funded by magic, or bake sales, or Lori's personality." A few nervous laughs. Lori flinched. I continued: "The new pool, the clubhouse renovation, the fitness center expansion, the landscaping contract that keeps getting renewed at 3 times market rate. All of it, every project she bragged about, comes from a bridge loan secured through a private investment firm. Lori tried to regain control. That means nothing. Those agreements go through the board. Yes, I replied, and I signed them. I held up my phone and pressed a single icon. The dead screen behind me blinked back to life, not with Lori's slideshow, but with a login page. Washington Analytics. My company. I entered a passcode. The crowd watched in silence as the screen loaded a dashboard, budgets, contracts, reserve balances, contractor bids, and one line glowing bright blue primary funding partner, the narrator's name. Gasps. Someone whispered, "Oh my God, he owns the notes." Another, "That gives him voting power over the board." Lori staggered. "This is fake. This is doctored." He hacked Grace and stepped forward. "No, Lori, it's real. I just rechecked the corporate registry. He's the principal investor. He holds the underwriting rights for the entire redevelopment plan." Now came the final blow. I tapped another file. Emails filled the screen, Lori demanding special favors. Lori pushing fines to homeowners who challenged her. Lori asking Grayson to flag residents she didn't like. Lori requesting private info she had no authority to access. Every action time-stamped, every violation traceable. Lori's legs buckled. The only thing keeping her upright was pure stubbornness. The crowd had shifted completely. Now they weren't looking at me. They were looking at the woman who had ruled them through fear. Lori lunged toward the stage, snatching for the mic. "Stop it. You can't embarrass me like this in front of my community. It's not your community," I said quietly. "It's ours." The board members approached cautiously, eyes darting between me, the screen, and the officer still standing nearby. I raised my phone one last time. This HOA signed a contract it didn't read. A contract giving the funding partner, me, the ability to demand leadership restructuring if governance becomes hostile or discriminatory. Lori froze. "Restructuring," she choked out. "You can't remove me. I was elected." "Yes," I said, "and tonight you violated 7 bylaws, 3 state statutes, and 1 section of the funding agreement that forbids discriminatory enforcement." The influencer whispered dramatically, "Oh, she's done." The officer cleared his throat. "Ma'am, based on what's shown here, I'm no longer comfortable acting on your complaint." The board huddled, brief, frantic whispering. Finally, Miss Hawthorne, the treasurer, stepped forward. "Lori Kingsley," she announced, voice trembling but firm under Emergency Article 9, Section C, "you are removed as HOA president effective immediately." Lori's face collapsed. "No, no, you can't. This is my neighborhood. This is my event. This is her." Voice cracked into a sound I had never heard from her before. Fear. I stepped closer, not cruel, not triumphant, simply resolute. "You humiliated me. You tried to weaponize security. You misused your authority, targeted residents, and endangered this community's entire infrastructure." She whispered, "Please, don't destroy everything." I met her eyes. "I'm not destroying anything. I'm rebuilding it. Without you?" And as the crowd absorbed those words, the countdown screen behind me restarted, not for her announcement, but for the HOA vote that would redefine the neighborhood forever. Her reign ended at 0. The moment the board announced Lori's removal, the energy on the lawn changed like the wind had shifted. Neighbors who'd kept their distance now stepped closer, not to watch a spectacle, but to breathe again. Conversations bubbled in low, stunned tones. Phones lowered. The tension that had wrapped the gala like barbed wire finally loosened. A father with a stroller approached first. "Man, I'm really sorry," he said quietly. "We all saw how she talked to you. We just didn't know what to do." His voice wasn't defensive, just honest. A couple from the next street added, "She fined us for a flower pot last month. We were scared to fight back." Another whispered, "I didn't realize how much power she had over people until she lost it." The influencer ended her live stream, lowering her phone slowly. "You handled that with more grace than anyone I've ever filmed," she said. "People online are calling it the greatest HOA reversal in internet history." I nodded, acknowledging the words without letting them sink too deeply. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by a steady, grounded clarity. I wasn't angry anymore, not triumphant, just committed. Behind us, board members scrambled through paperwork, the property manager issuing rapid instructions through his headset. The community wasn't watching Lori anymore. They were watching the space she'd occupied finally open. And in that opening, something like relief moved through the crowd. Miss Hawthorne, still trembling, approached with the board clustered behind her. "We need direction," she admitted. "You hold the financial authority now. What happens next?" I gestured toward Grayson's tablet. "First, freeze every fine issued in the last 12 months. Tonight's harassment contaminates all her enforcement decisions. Several residents exhaled with visible relief. Second, I continued launch a third-party audit of all violation notices, contractor, invoices, and enforcement actions. The HOA will cover the cost, not the homeowners. Grayson nodded rapidly, already tapping in directives. Third, all board members and HOA staff will undergo certified fair enforcement and bias training, effective immediately. No exceptions, no one argued. And fourth, the HOA's enforcement authority will be temporarily limited. No new fines, no threats, no surprise visits. Residents deserve stability while we rebuild the system. The board murmured agreement. Even the officer listening nearby gave a small, approving nod. As for Lori, she stood silently to the side, arms wrapped around herself, watching her power dissolve piece by piece. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Her consequences were structural now, not emotional. She was stripped of authority, barred from office, and her decisions under investigation, not because I wanted revenge, but because the community needed accountability. Tonight changed everything because the rules finally had weight on the right side of the scale. With the board's decisions recorded and the officers stepping back, the lawn began to come alive again. Music resumed softly as volunteers rebooted equipment. The lights warmed instead of glared. The event, shaken but not ruined, found its footing. I stepped onto the small stage one last time. Before we all go home, I said, addressing the residents who'd gathered again, there's one more announcement. Not hers, mine. The crowd quieted. The funding allotted for tonight's redevelopment project will continue, I explained, but with a new condition, a portion of it will go toward a neighborhood scholarship fund and resources for any homeowner unfairly targeted by HOA. Enforcement. Surprised applause broke out, genuine, grateful, hopeful. And I added, we're forming a homeowner advisory committee so decisions are transparent. No more fear, no more mystery violations, no more one person deciding what belongs in this neighborhood. The cheering grew louder. Near the exit, Lori paused in the shadows. For the first time that night, she wasn't glaring. She looked unsure, not defeated, not defiant, just forced to face a truth she'd hidden behind authority for too long. I wasn't going to chase her down or shame her further. Her downfall was already complete, and her future would be shaped by the consequences she caused herself. The neighborhood had shifted permanently, and everyone felt it. Power isn't proving someone doesn't belong, it's rebuilding a place where everyone finally does.